Hi, welcome back to the Chasing Tone podcast. I'm Travis.
Max.
I'm Brian.
And Max, you should change your name to Hungry for Biscuits and Gravy because that's all he's been talking about.
Brian mentioned word biscuits and gravy, and one cannot just mention
That's
biscuits.
3 words.
Mention the words. It's plural.
I thought you said word.
You mumble, so we couldn't tell.
You're not my real dad. You can't mention biscuits and gravy and not get my attention a little bit. It's like, here's free cash.
What do you call it? Biscuits and gravy? B's and G's?
B's and G's.
B's and G's, yeah.
Some B's and G's up in here.
It's so funny. Anytime I have biscuits and gravy or a Blizzard from Dairy Queen, I always text Max a picture of it, and he gets so mad at me.
I do. I've been pretty good.
Remember that time? Okay, like I sent him a picture of a Blizzard, and he was like, lucky. And then I came to work the other day with ice cream, and he was like, dude, where's my Blizzard?
I was like, you could at least call. You were literally there. No. Shows how deep our friendship is.
Okay, so we posted on the face page, like, basically, Max holds every answer and key to the universe.
True.
So we wanted to know if anybody had any questions for Max. So what was one of them that you liked? Do mosquitoes sleep?
Do mosquitoes sleep? They're like sharks. They never stop moving.
So what's that got to do with sleep?
I don't think sharks sleep, do they?
I don't
Sharks
know.
sleep? Probably not. I don't think. No. Yeah, They don't sleep. No, they don't sleep. That's my official answer. Brian will spit out his coffee.
I'm going to spit out his coffee. Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer. The official Max statement. If you don't think I'm right, or if you find actual evidence to support that against me, you're wrong.
You're what?
You're hash brown wrong.
Hash brown wrong.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Boom. All righty. So we should probably get to the point, being that we're like 2 minutes into this thing already.
Why not? Why start now?
Right? I know Brian's over here on his phone. Like,
Hey, I was setting up biscuits and gravy for us after
Boom. Boss.
I thought it was maybe because you own a pretty substantial company and actually had things to do other than.
I was actually texting Sherry saying, "Can you order us biscuits and gravy in 20 minutes?"
Yeah, and extra biscuits. Hash brown, biscuits and
Where
gravy.
from? From Forky's?
Use petty cash. Oh, and she texts back. Let's see. All 3? Yes,
Okay.
please.
Extra biscuits, extra biscuits.
Hey, is it from Forky's? Because if it is, you got to call and make sure they have the gravy. They run out, and Brian gets furious when they run out of gravy. He gets mad.
I would be too. Then it's just biscuits.
Yeah.
It's just bees at this point. Son of a bees.
Son of a bees. But anyway, some people actually asked real questions.
That is a real question, Travis.
Well,
It's biology, it's science, I don't expect you to understand.
yeah, I know.
When is the biscuits and gravy coming?
That's
Boom. Gravy train.
I wanted the gravy train.
Hash brown gravy train.
Hash brown gravy train. Ooh, hash browns and gravy. Hash brown gravy.
I gotta go.
Okay, so Jeff Richards writes, why does solid state sound so good in a pedal with diodes and stuff, but not in an amp? Dude, that's a great question.
It is.
That's a great question. Because just like vintage is better, tubes is better. End of story. That's it. Okay, not really, but but no, it's a great question.
People listen with their eyes. You know what I mean?
Completely.
Solid state amps aren't sexy. They don't. They just don't have that thing that an old tube amp has, as far as perception goes.
Right.
Tubes.
Besides tubes, but I mean there are some solid state amps that I've played that sound great.
Okay.
Absolutely great.
So this is completely nerdy, all right? And this some people like the tech talk and the nerd talk. So
Sure, let's nerd it up. This
Let's
is
nerd it
the,
up.
the
Let's
nerd
nerd it up.
section.
nerd section. I like that.
Dun, 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 dun. That's we need like a theme.
You gotta
like
do-
a theme song.
Yeah, you need to do jazz hands at the end of it. But okay, now I don't know who told me this or where I got this idea, but I've heard somewhere that a lot of pedal builders will use a JFET to emulate a tube. Is that correct?
Yeah, so
Like-
a lot of people do.
Like I heard somebody say something like they'll take a schematic from an amp and substitute tubes with JFets.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Hold on.
Is that a thing?
Do we have any tape in here? Because I need to put it right in the middle of my glasses.
Hold on, I got your pocket protector.
Okay. I got my pocket protector. So, me, hang on just a second. Yes, technically, there was a website back in the early 2000s called Runoff Groove. It's still there, actually, but was very popularized by the DIY crowd at that time. And so what they did is they started taking amps and substituting JFets and Mosfets for 12AX7
Wait,
tubes, because
wait.
technically they kind of work sort of something similar in the solid state world.
Let's back out. Let's back up.
But I was getting ready to take a breath.
But we're getting ready to go even deeper. What's the difference between a MOSFET and a JFET?
They work. Technically, I'd have to call like an engineer because I don't.
Okay, let me ask.
They work differently.
Okay, but
they both can be gain stages.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
But I mean, they both are very similar to how a 12AX7 works.
Okay, so
okay,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I mean, you apply a lot of voltage to. Lost my train of thought. Apply a lot of voltage to a tube.
Mm-hmm.
To make it spit out more hotter signal, right?
Right.
To make it amplify voltage.
That's called plate voltage, right?
Yeah, you put more plate voltage in.
Right.
So, I mean, like how all the electrons and all that crap works. I've read on it and I forget because it doesn't really have any
sound
to do with making a good sound.
Right.
It's just like nerd talk, like how does that work? You know,
right?
I don't care about that. I care about what it sounds like, what it feels like, how it responds,
right?
That sort of thing. So,
well,
I mean, there's people that will take a 12AX7 to answer your question, put a JFET in its place, everything else be the same, put a low pass filter on the end, and they're like, that's an amp. And sometimes that works. I mean, like the Plexi Drive. If you look up the schematic for that on the internet, thanks to Free Stomp Boxes, if you look at that, you'll see that it's kind of is that way. It's a couple of JFETs that's mimicking what tubes do, and then it's got some filtering on the end to kind of mimic what a cabinet's doing.
Well, the good news is that it is on the internet, because whenever I ask you a question about the circuit one of your pedal, you say, hey, can you Google the schematic and send it to me?
It's easier just to Google it. Yeah. Rather than try to find it on my mess of a desktop.
Right, and there was a guy on DIY Stomp Boxes that I was reading. I think it was either there or another one of the forums, but a guy said that you had a good idea for the slow distortion, but he thinks he could make it better by using JFETs to emulate tubes from that.
Tried it.
Did you?
Yep.
Okay. But no, and I'm not saying that. No, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
The slow distortion, I mean, I tried taking the exact layout of the amp, and I've tried that a million times, and seeing what it does. What does it sound like? How close does it come? It doesn't come that close.
Right.
I mean, it sounds like a good JFET based preamp or overdrive or whatever you want to call it, but it doesn't do the Sedano thing.
Right.
So then, as far as the design wise, I'm thinking, okay, well, what makes the Sedano do what it's doing, and what can I do for multiple stages to achieve that sound?
Now, does a slow distortion have the Warren Haynes mod?
It does. I mean, to me, the slow distortion is more like government mule in a box.
Right.
You know
and it does that. It does that.
So especially, really does. I mean, I think the problem is that if you don't have a bright amp, it's too dark. But if you're running something with a bright switch or a brighter amp, then it does that Warren Haynes thing really well.
Yeah, that's the only dirt box of yours that I owned before I started working here. Before I started working for you.
That was you.
Yeah, that was me. Because remember, I brought it in, and you were like, you didn't have a slow distortion in stock at the time, like at your house, and you're like, man, I need to really work on it. Was it the mid control or the treble control?
Probably. It's hard telling.
It was something.
I'm always tweaking something.
Right, but you were like, man, but I don't have one. I was like, here, use mine. And then I never saw it again.
Did I steal that off you?
You didn't steal it. I just left it there. If I really,
that was the first pedal I bought. I just let you have it.
What did we learn?
What did we learn? I think it's in the back of my Blues Junior.
Which is also.
You mean the one that's?
Which is also at Brian's house.
Yeah. It's in parts.
It's all connected. It's just all laying in pieces.
It's Class AB now. It's hand wired.
It's hand wired now.
Part of it where we burnt the traces.
We burnt so many traces up. We basically were wiring parts to parts.
So everyone listening to this, you guys should be extremely jealous that I have a Blues Junior that has been modded by Brian Wampler. I will sell it for $4,000. Cash on the barrelhead, right?
Barrelhead.
You don't know that term?
No.
Never mind.
He's young.
Yeah, you're young. Actually, that is like a super old guy saying. So that's like
we're not that much different in age. You can come back to this.
Then why do you always make fun of me for being old?
Because you are. You're older than me. You're not that much older, but you are older.
So, but old enough to make fun of you for your youth.
Correct.
So there you go. Boom.
When we get to the B's and G's part, that's the only reason I'm here.
Will work for B's and G's. So no, that was does that kind of answer the why does it sound good? Well, not really. That we got way off track there, but it was
we did,
but not really because we got off track with something relevant, which rarely happens.
This is going to be like a weird show where we talk about gear for 30 minutes
and gravy.
And biscuits
and B's and G's. But so okay, now let's back up, or maybe that did answer it. So what gets lost in translation between solid state and solid state and tube? What gets lost in translation there?
Between solid state and tube? Oh man, that's
you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm not phrasing it right, but like if you can use JFets theoretically to emulate a 12AX7. Then then
why doesn't it sound exactly like it?
Well, I mean, obviously it's not going to because it's completely different and it's running at completely different voltages and running filaments versus
and plus you have like phase inverters, you have output tubes, you have transformers.
Right, but when you're running into another amp, doesn't that kind of take away the output tube?
Well, here's the thing: if you take a couple 12AX, a couple tube circuits, or you take the preamp from your guitar amp and run it into a totally different amp and use it as a distortion pedal, you're going to see that it sounds like crap.
Unless I've had it sound good once. Bad Cat had this like little 5-watt amp, and I ran out of that, but I ran like a line out into it's like some big Fender. It might have been a Twin or a Pro Reverb or something like that, and it sounded heavenly.
Really?
But that's the only time. But you're right, So another thing too, and maybe this is a question we need to get to an amp guy, but true or false? A tube, like a 12AX7, really has 2 gain stages. Each tube has 2 gain stages?
Yeah.
Okay, so would the JFET do that, or would it just have 1?
It's just 1.
So that's another huge difference of why they don't react exactly like tubes, right?
Not really. It's more like it's the packaging. So within a 12AX7, it has the solid state equivalent would be like 2 JFETs that were in one package.
Gotcha.
So a big round package that just had 6 pins on it instead of 3 pins.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I mean, the big difference is you're running a lot of voltage. The EQ's different on them. The gain's different on them. But like electronically speaking, they're both doing similar things to electrons. They're both, you can, I think, if I recall right, they were both created as a switch. Like an on and off thing. You apply voltage, it can turn something on or off.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of how that came about. But
and
MOSFETs, NPN transistors, PNP transistors, JFETs. I mean, all these types of things can create. They can amplify voltage. They can amplify a signal.
Right, and a JFET, and I'm saying this just for our listeners/viewers. A JFET is technically just a transistor. It's just a different kind of transistor.
Kind of a different type.
What's it stand for?
Junction filled effect transistor.
Exactly. So nerd.
I actually did an interview once, and they asked me that, and I was like, I don't remember.
Max is almost asleep. For those of you who don't watch,
I know how to wake him up. We're getting biscuits and gravy soon.
For those of you who are just listening and not watching, Max is leaning back with his head tilted all the way back, looking to the sky with his mouth open and eyes closed, catching flies.
Pretty much.
I will say that I was wanting to find it when you were talking earlier, and I found it.
What's that?
I think Frank Falbo had the perfect question. Perfect podcast question.
Okay.
What's the secret to Travis's custom dog leg left hairstyle?
Well, I think I even answered it on the face page. It's a salve made of puppy Cuddles and Starlight. Yeah. It's made by Suave. It's real nice. You can get it at Target. Although I did use a hair product one time. I can't afford it, but man, it was awesome. It's just stuff. It was effervescent. Like, is that the word? Effervescent.
Wasn't that a band in like 1988?
That's Evanescence.
Oh,
but and that was like 98.
Oh.
But dude, it like made my scalp tingle and it cleared up my sinuses. It was fantastic. And when I got out of it, it was like so awesome that I said something about it. And even my bass player in my band, we were in Japan. No, we were in Korea. And he looked at me and goes, "Yeah, dude, your hair does look nicer today." That's when you know you've been on the road too long. But what it was the day before. He's a bald dude, my bass player.
So he knows his hair.
Well, he doesn't have hair, and I forgot my shampoo at a hotel in Okinawa. So I was like, "Dude, can I borrow some shampoo?" And he looked at me and he was like, "Yeah, man, I got shampoo." and he looked like so sad. I was like, "I'm so sorry." So he gave me this Axe body wash, right? And I had to use that on my hair. And it was when we were flying back, so I had to smell that for like, it was a 38-hour travel day.
Smell like a high school kid in shame.
Yeah, sound like... Never mind. I'm not going there. Anyways, Frank, that's the secret to my hair is Puppy Cuddles Starlight. It's made by Suave. It's real nice. Check it out at your local Target.
That's for Puppy Cuddles.
As for Puppy Cuddles, they won't think you're weird at all. So no, I thought that was a great question. Why does solid state sound so good? Mm-hmm. I mean, and the simple answer is they work completely different.
Right.
But
they can sound good. There can be great solid state amps, but people won't buy them.
Right. And I want to give a shout out to a company we always forget. We always talk about Axe Effects because, let's face it, the marketing's great. You know what I mean? We always talk about Kemper, but doesn't Quilter do some solid state
I think
stuff?
so, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that stuff's really cool too. They were at the amp show.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But they got screwed, man. They were on the 3rd floor, and there was only like 3 companies on the 3rd floor.
Really?
Yeah.
At Winternam?
No, at the amp show in L.A.
Oh, the amp show, gotcha.
Yeah, because I mean, everything was on like the 1st and 2nd floors, and So, that's something we can talk about. Mm-hmm. We get a lot of questions about NAMM and all these shows. So, I want to kind of describe what an amp show is like. Not a NAMM show, an amp show. So, if you ever get a chance, you got to experience one. It's great as a consumer. Basically, they rent out this hotel, okay, and normally 3 floors?
Yeah, well, depends on the hotel
Or the show.
I know the one in Nashville wasn't that like 8 floors or 10
that
floors.
was huge, but the one in like New York was 2 floors, and the one in LA was 3 floors.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But basically, every room is rented out, okay, rented out, and they move all the furniture out, and then the exhibitors like us, we go in and we set up a showroom, and you can purchase and play anything. And most of them now, there's no volume restrictions, so you can just go if you're interested in a 100-watt amp and you want to know what it can do, you can crank it up.
Yeah.
So sounds great, right? Sounds like just a hopping damn good time, right?
Sure.
If you are there for 36 hours over the course of 3 days, oh man, it can be brutal.
You start looking at the light fixture, wondering what hang your weight when you hang your shit. It's like, I wonder if that'll hold my weight. I wonder if my shoestrings have enough give. No, man, it's cool. I think Travis actually took a video of it once, like just walking down the hallway. All the doors are open in the hotels. You can hear it.
It's especially when you put in earbuds. Like you can hear it. It's in stereo. You hear it go left and right, and it's like you'll walk, and then you'll get to like a quiet point, and then you'll hear the A chord, and then it's just terrible. But
it's probably cool as a consumer.
Oh, as a consumer, it's awesome.
Guys working, it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to. Until you're actually doing it, it's hard to believe how much loud sound actually wears you down.
Well, it makes you physically sick to your stomach. I remember, for me, my first NAMM was last year, Winter NAMM, and I went to Summer NAMM after that. But Winter NAMM, our booth is... Chaz drinking his tea. Our booth is right by the cymbal section. And imagine, every cymbal manufacturer ever, and all you hear from one cymbal is...
Oh, yeah.
After there's so much noise, after 4 hours, I'm like, this is cool. But then after that, I'm like, I don't feel so good. Yeah. And then once you step outside and it's quiet, it's like, oh.
That's when I feel the worst, is when I step outside, because then you realize, and then your equilibrium's all off.
Really?
And, I'll step outside and take my earplugs out, and you're just like, oh, you start feeling woozy. And then there's always the guys that are in the quiet room.
Yeah.
And they're always like afterwards, like, dude, let's go party. And I'm like, there's no way.
Let's go see a band. Like, I've been listening to cymbals for the past 10 hours.
Why is Max drunker? It was really bad at summer name because one morning, like I went out with all the guys from all these different companies. I was kind of hungover the next morning, hearing the cymbals crash. Like, oh God, it's terrible.
And the thing is, too, and I'm not making fun of drummers because I'm going to make fun of guitar players immediately after. But, well, I am making fun of them. No, I'm not singling them out, let me say. But at NAMM, when drummers go in there and just hit every cymbal, they can't tell a difference what anything sounds like. Moreover, neither can guitar players because all the background noise, it just literally washes out.
And you can't even crank up your amp at NAMM because the sound police come over until you turn down.
Although,
which is funny because here you have 10 feet away someone beating the hell out of a cymbal, and then your guitar amp is on 0.3, and you're gonna have to turn down. You're over the 75 decibels.
We actually took a decibel reading. You have a window of how loud you can be at NAMM, and you actually achieve that before you ever turn on your amp just because of the amount of people that are there. Mm-hmm. You already achieved that top decibel level you're allowed to reach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's we were talking earlier. It's kind of funny how many guitar players go to NAMM thinking it's going to elevate their career.
I get that a lot, man.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, like I was talking to some guy once, and he's a great guitar player, and he's an emerging artist, and not that I'm like this, I have this wealth of knowledge and experience, but I've done some things, right? And I started from absolutely nothing with no help, so I feel like if somebody asks me, I at least have an opinion.
Sure.
And so I was kind of giving him some advice and asking him, where he wanted to be, what he wanted to do, and how he was going to achieve it. And his first answer, and this was like in November of 2013, but he was like, well, man, in January I'm going out to NAMM. I was like, okay, who you with? And he told me the company that was giving him his credential. And for those of you who don't know, you have to have a credential to get into NAMM. Well, no, now it's open to the public one day.
The last day.
Hours,
but
before that, you have to be with a company.
Yeah, and so, but anyway, so he told me the company he was with, and I was like, that's great, man. What are you going to do out there? He's like, well, man, I'm going to make some connections, and I think it'll really help my career. And it blew me away. To me, that's like saying, what is that? What is that big consumer electronics? A CES? And
CES.
That would be like me as an emerging actor thinking I'm going to hit it big by going to CES.
That's a good analogy.
And it's like I'm an actor, so I'm going to go look at DVD players.
Right.
And it's like, I'm not trying to discourage anybody.
Right. But
you're going to do, right.
You're in a huge building full of people who make instruments and then people who buy said instruments.
Right.
You're not among a ton of producers and record label executives and
now,
anybody that really would help your career in any way.
So I dug a little deeper, okay, and I asked him, I said, well, how do you think that's, and I wasn't a jerk. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. You're going out to NAMM. I was like, so how do you think that's going to further your career? And he was thinking that he was going to meet somebody that could give him a big break. And I was like, nothing is impossible.
Right.
Nothing is impossible.
There's always luck.
Right. It's not likely in that situation. But had he said something along the lines of, well, my goal or what I hope to accomplish out there is to make good relationships with some companies that I really believe in their product, man, that's great. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely great. But, and okay, for those of you who don't know, I work in artist relations for Brian. So I get a lot of the endorsement inquiries and everything. But
you get all of the artist inquiries.
Okay, fair enough. I do. But so anyway,
so all you artists, if you want an endorsement,
here we go. No,
Travis at one point was like, "Oh, I'll see it." That just happened.
He's got nothing to do all day long. He's
nothing.
Just waiting.
Yeah, I'm patiently awaiting your email, eagerly awaiting your email. But and he said that'd been great, but. Yes, we deal with some high-profile artists, But most of the time when we deal with these high-profile artists, we don't deal with the artists themselves. We deal with a guitar tech or management, or we have to go to a meet and greet to talk to these people.
Right.
It's not like, and I hope I'm not taking any of the stigma or prestige away, but like, it's not like you have Brad Paisley's number on speed dial.
I don't have his number at all.
Oh, okay. So like, but if you need to get a hold of Brad Paisley, you have no problems getting a hold of him.
Well, because I go through this guy who then contacts this guy who then contacts this guy.
Right. So,
or, I mean, if I have to, I can call his manager.
Right.
And I know the guys in the band too, but
yeah, those guys, you have their number.
Yeah. I mean, the main focus, so like the Brad Paisley or whatever, the Keith Urban, those guys are pretty well protected because they have nothing but people trying to get their time all the time, 24 hours a day.
Right.
So they need that gatekeeper to say, it's worth your time to talk to this guy about guitar pedals or not. And usually it's not worth their time to talk about guitar pedals.
Right. And except for guys like, and you're real fortunate because you've formed a friendship. Formed a friendship. Yeah,
you're going to be my friend.
Yeah.
You're going to do it.
Yeah, you formed an actual friendship with Brent, Brent Mason, which, I mean, and that's deeper now. I mean, now you guys could never do business again and still be great friends, Right. So, I mean, but I guess I've gotten way off track. The thing, I don't have the connections to help your career. No. I'd love to. If I could, I totally would.
And even if we did, we wouldn't for long if we started recommending, hey, you need to check out this guy's CD. They would be like, you know what, lose my number.
Right.
I've got 40,000 people telling me this exact same thing every day. I don't need one more.
Exactly. And I won't get too into this. Maybe this is another episode, but there's actual laws and rules of how to solicit material to artists. If you give it to something, it's going straight in the trash. And I could tell you why, but I won't get into that.
I didn't know that, huh?
You didn't? Okay, well.
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, did you? Here's the short version of it. Okay, there's a lot that goes into it.
Sixth grade version here.
Sixth grade version. Okay. Have you ever heard the term, we don't accept unsolicited material?
Yes.
Have you ever heard that? Do you know what that literally translates to?
We don't accept anything unless we ask for it.
We don't want it.
No, not really. That's what everybody thinks. I mean, that's part of it. But did you know lawyers are also called solicitors? Our UK friends will know that. They actually call lawyers solicitors over there.
No, we call them bloodsuckers over here. Vampires.
Yeah. But anyway, so basically, I mean, it does mean, obviously, if they're not asking for it, don't send it. But it also means that you have to go through a legal route. Because let's say Brad Paisley, let's say I wrote a country tune that's right up his alley. And I send it to him, and he does listen to it, okay? Then 6 months later, he comes out with a tune that's very, very similar to the one that I sent him.
Right.
What's going to happen?
You're going to sue the crap out of him.
I'm going to sue the crap out of him, and then that's a huge mess for the artist, for the record label, for the publishing company, for everything involved.
Right.
So you have to go through this channel. You have to find a lawyer or solicitor in the entertainment industry, and there's a ton of them out there. I be honest, I have a meeting with one tomorrow. But it's not about that. It's about something completely different.
Right. So it's basically in the artist's best interest to get a hold of an attorney of some sort.
It's the only way that they can pitch you to a record label legally to where they will even. That doesn't mean they'll listen to it. That just means that legally they can listen to it.
Right.
Because I've given stuff to this guy in the past, and he's like, "Man, I think it's great. I'll get it to the people," and I never heard anything back. I heard back from a couple labels, but. What they wanted was, and that was so funny. When I got my first record deal, I called my lawyer and I was like, "Hey man, I want you to look over this contract for me." And the guy's $350 an hour, right? So my first question was, "How long will it take?" He's like, "Well, we don't do hourly rates when it comes to record deals." I was like, "Well, what do you do?" He's like, "Well, we normally go by the pound."
The pound of paper.
I said, "What?" He goes, "Well, how many pounds the paper is?" I was like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" So like
making everything 4.5.
I know, yeah, right. But so he was telling me about one artist that he just recently signed. And it was a $250,000 deal, tour advancement and everything. But I've got way off track. Sorry, but that might be cool info for some people. I don't know.
I think so. I mean, okay. So if you're you have artists that come to you. Wanting endorsements. What do you look for in an artist who wants an endorsement?
see, this is where you and I kind of butt heads. You know, okay, number one, let's say you play guitar for Celine Dion. You're playing to 25,000 people every night. I don't know how many.
Does she have a guitar player?
Exactly. My point exactly. How much influence do you think that guitar player has on other guitar players? And what I mean by that is how many guitar players are going to a Celine Dion show for tone? You know what I mean? But let's say you're Blackberry Smoke and you're playing to 3,000 and 4,000 people. They're probably playing to more than that now. I don't mean any disrespect, because they're like one of my favorite bands. They're unreal. But I love their guitar tone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're playing to less people, but their audience is completely different. Their demographic. So I look for that. And moreover, let's say you play to 250 people, but you're a guitar virtuoso, and the only people that come and watch you are guitar players. Then to me, that carries just as much weight as the guy that's playing for a contemporary pop artist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know that like a lot of people don't like hearing that because they want to think that. And also, I don't know about other companies, but we have never paid anybody to play a pedal.
No, that's stupid.
And
that's ridiculous.
We also don't give out free pedals unless you're,
Steve Vai.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, right. So it's like,
trust me, I work for him and I don't get free pedals.
Well, you just got to return them.
I know.
You can get it free for the night. Right. Bring it back the next
day.
day.
Don't step on it.
Once Travis is done with it, I can borrow it. We'll bring it back. So it's nothing personal, guys.
Here, Travis didn't like this pedal, Max. You can have it.
Right.
The color on this one's all jacked up. It's yours now. It broke. Well,
here's a Blem. But it's probably getting to be Blem season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yes, Blem season.
We've done a few Blems
this year.
Yeah.
They were getting ready to get a whole. By the time this comes out, I think we should have a bunch on the website.
Yeah,
we did do though, and we actually took the Blems were on the website, and we moved it to behind the member area. So if you want to buy a Blem, you have to sign up for the newsletter. It'll automatically, and that's wamplerpedals.com/subscribe. That will once you confirm your email, that will send you a link to the members area. Then you can buy pedals that have been fixed or may have had scratches on the case or something, or something like that. But
warranty still applies.
Warranty. It's just stuff that's remanufactured in some way.
If it's good enough for me, it's good enough for you.
Max Jeffrey.
No, I'm just joshing.
I'm just joshing. But so I mean, and another thing is reach. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you have to have 15,000 Facebook likes or Twitter followers, but a lot of it too is like if you have a website that's not been updated, and in a year. Or you don't do anything on your social media, then that tells me if you're not promoting yourself, why are you going to promote our brand?
Right. It's funny. I was talking to Jason Wilding, our UK guy, this morning about this, and like Tom Quell, for example, saw an order come through from him. He just went to the site and bought one.
And that's a guy that it's like. Yeah,
it's like, and I'm like, that's our signature artist,
right? And he's buying pedals.
What I see, anyways, is that the guys who don't need endorsements are generally the guys that are great people to get endorsements from,
Right, and that's the thing. Like when you break it down, the actual term endorsement, they will endorse your product. In other words, look up the actual word endorse,
Right.
So like,
Endorse.
But. By the way, nice shirts, fellas.
I know. I got the faded one. Max has the brand new one.
To you listeners.
Actually, they're all supposed to be faded, and this is actually a proper big boy size. So, Sam, thank you.
That's right. That's
2XT.
2XT. Oh, because you're tall.
Because you're tall.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember that now.
This is the first normal size T-shirt I've had in a long time.
Nice.
Excited. So, Sam, thank you.
I think for next week's episode, you should put on a small and just wear it that way the entire time.
I need to wear that little bejeweled spaghetti strap.
We'll find one.
I'll do it. I'll pop the bejeweled right off of that.
You'll wear it for the whole.
I'm not gonna say what shirt or whatever, but I have a shirt exactly like Max's, and I was like, "Hey, dude, have you tried on this shirt yet? It's beyond this medium. It is a little tight." I said, "I'm actually getting choked by the neck." So he texts me back the next day. He goes, I tried on that shirt. I'm not saying it's tight, but you may be able to see my belly button.
Yeah.
But okay, back to the artist thing. You know, reach and what you're gonna do. And I'll just say it. You know what's in it for you. You know what I mean? You know you're gonna get a percentage off or whatever. But we want to know what's in it for us.
Right.
How does it benefit us to lose profit?
Right. We can't stay in business by giving everybody who plays guitar a 50% discount, or just throwing a number out there.
Right.
50% discount. Half off of everything.
I want a 50% discount.
I want B's and G's, keep your discount.
W's that?
So I want some B's and G's, you can keep the discount.
But biscuits and gravy with every order for our...
Yeah, so I mean, and at the same time, the person you're talking to about an endorsement deal, they're real dudes. You don't have to get all nervous. Like, I got an endorsement from Dr. Z, years ago. And now you're like, you don't need that endorsement, right? I know him. but I was so nervous talking to this guy, and the same thing with I've become friends with Don Grosh, and I was nervous as crap talking to that guy.
Are you talking about Don Grosh, the guy who makes amazing Stratocasters?
Oh, dude.
I'd love to have one of those.
And I...
Speaking of the choir here.
I love Charles Whitfield's Telecasters, and I've never played Grosh's Retro T, but I actually, it's so funny, just last night I was playing my Grosh, and I looked at my wife, and I go, why do I play anything else? And that sounds like such a commercial. I know it does, but it's like... I mean, you've known me. I've sold every guitar I've ever owned except for the Whitfield and the Grosh.
Yeah.
You had an awesome SG too.
Huh?
You had an awesome SG.
Oh, that SG was beautiful. But, the thing, nothing. And I had a 50, was it a 55? A 55 Les Paul Jr. Sold it.
You've had Nashes. You sold those.
I've had Nashes. I've had so many stupid amounts of guitars.
Yeah.
But the only one I've played long enough to where it looks relict is my red Grosh. And if you guys watch any of the YouTube videos,
that's the strat we use.
Yeah, somebody actually commented like, "Oh my gosh, Travis with a Telecaster," But anyway, so I mean, they're real dudes, man. So don't basically just go to them and tell them what you can do for them. And we're not jerks or saying, well, what's in it for me, but we are saying what's in it for us.
Right, because it is a company.
Yeah.
If we're not trying to make a profit, then it's called a hobby.
Yeah. So, man, we stayed on topic quite a bit on this one.
This has been the most boring podcast ever. That reminded me. I got to say something because I saw this comment on YouTube. Travis, are you doing product placement for McDonald's since you always have a McDonald's cup?
I wish.
If we are, I'll be pissed because nobody told me about it. I could have had a Big Mac every freaking podcast.
My drink of choice, the only sugar drinks I drink are beer, right? Everything else is unsweetened iced tea because I can get my caffeine fix. Mm-hmm. And McDonald's is the only place that makes consistently good unsweetened iced tea. Yeah, so maybe I should get a kickback, Mickey D's. Come on now, one time.
We need instead of a water cooler, we need a tea cooler.
Yeah, a tea cooler.
Said no one ever.
But they probably put crack in it, and that's why I drink it every morning. But there's a McDonald's right next to my house, so I hit it on the way to work, and I always get 2 unsweet teas. Except for this here, I don't know if you're watching or listening, but I have a carafe that started full, and it's is it a gallon? Yeah. No, it's a 2 liter. I drink a 2 liter of iced tea.
That's half gallon, right?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know my math, but
yeah.
See, 2 plus 2 is
4,
3, 5, something like that.
But yeah, this is homebrew here. It's the good stuff. You know what I mean? But
yeah, this person honestly didn't believe that you actually are doing that because you drink tea every day.
The person,
I guess.
If it was true.
Because I always have a McDonald's cup.
I remember the user's name, but he's on a YouTube channel.
Okay, but
so, yeah, because it's always a McDonald's cup sitting in the same place every time.
Yeah.
But now we have our.
And I will say one thing: I was doing this before Duck Dynasty. I was carrying around my own iced tea before Duck Dynasty.
That is true.
Uncle Si or whatever.
That is true.
He stole my shtick.
Pretty sure he was doing it like Vietnam or something. Right?
I need proof.
Never mind. It's a whole can of worms. We don't have time for it. Anyways, that's a podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I've been notified. B's and G's are here.
Okay, well,
so we gotta go.
This is the end of the podcast.
See you next week.
So, thank you so much for tuning in. I do got a favor to ask you guys. By the way, we do give you free podcasts.
Make it quick.
Right? Okay. No, but if you guys could just go to iTunes and leave a review, that'd be great, man. And just an honest review. We're not,
the iTunes link's on the podcast page.
Yeah,
WamplerPedals.com/podcast.
Yeah, but if you can just go to iTunes and give us a review, what you think of this show, we'd really, really appreciate that. Also, the Chasing Tone podcast, that's the handle, username, I guess, on Instagram. It's taken off pretty well.
Yeah,
it's doing real well.
So if you're Instagramming it up, hit that one up.
Yeah, same thing with Chasing Tone podcast. Same thing with Facebook. And the main thing is
Snapchat. We're going to start doing Snapchats. Travis going to take his shirt off. Snapchat.
And the thing is I promise we're not trying to sell you anything. We're not trying to boost our numbers to make ourselves look cool. We just like hearing from you.
Exactly.
And you can always email us at podcast@wamplerpedals.com. So for Max and Brian, and I'm Travis, we're going to go get some B's and G's. Thanks for listening.